Here's the mail, it never fails. It makes me wanna wag my tail. When it comes, I wanna will.
Burr.
St. Pete out there, St. Pete.
South St. Pete up to his old antics. It's a holiday too? Never mind, I'm not going to get into all of that. The mailbag, question numero uno. This is apparently it's a turkey week bag.
Okay.
It says a turkey week bag. Do y'all actually eat turkey?
Absolutely.
Oh, for sure.
On like turkey week?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Turkey? Or just only turkey?
Nah, just
You don't get down with that turkey?
Turkey is for TV.
Man, definitely frying a turkey this week.
You're frying one?
I am.
Okay.
Got the peanut oil already.
Okay.
L.
Make sure you get your levels right.
I think my level's gonna be okay.
Dump the turkey
in some water first.
Yeah, to make sure.
Just make sure you got the right
you
level.
got the right level of oil.
It's about some oil.
You cooking?
All right, guys. Question number one. Did the Seminole CFP dreams end last week, or do they end this week against a desperate Gator team in a battle of backup quarterbacks? There's a lot to unpack. He's trying to be shady. There's a lot to unpack here. So real quick, before y'all answer, right? For those, if you've been living under a rock, first of all, I hope there's air conditioning under there. We live in Florida. It's hot. But if you've been living in a rock and you don't know what's going on, Jordan Travis, the quarterback for the Florida State Seminoles, went down with a gruesome leg injury. If you are squeamish in the least bit, don't watch the video. I made the mistake of watching it. I regretted it immediately. Don't watch. But anyway, he went down with a season-ending injury. Graham Murder Mertz.
He ain't killing nobody.
of the Gainesville, I'm so used to saying Gainesville.
He beat all them cases.
The Florida Gators.
Every last
one.
He went down with a collarbone injury on a very tough run. I mean, kudos to him. He lowered the shoulder on somebody. He got the first down, and then he left the game.
Got something else too.
So that's what he means when he says a battle of backup quarterbacks. Let's talk Florida State first, right? Because you guys, like he mentioned in the question, you were on your way to a college football playoff berth. Now with your quarterback going down, there's a lot of conversation around that. Just real quick, the temperature of the Florida State fan base. Where are you guys at right now?
We are good.
Okay.
Saturday night, it was in shambles because everybody was crazy about it. But what I can say is, if we didn't have Tate's game last year against Louisville, we would have been panicking. Mm-hmm. But we've seen Tate when he settles down in a good half of football. Tate can do what needs to be done. So we're good. We still have faith in everything. Everything's good in the house.
Okay.
I think the idea of our best chance to win a national championship, honestly, in my opinion, went down with Jordan Travis. I think the best chance you have, obviously, if you have your starting quarterback, you have a better chance of winning bigger games.
Yep.
I know Tate can get the job done. We've seen him do it. But on the level that we need to potentially beat a Michigan or a Georgia, you're going to need all hands on deck. You know what I mean? Again, the weapons are still there. Knock on wood, Keon, Johnny, all those guys are still there. Hopefully, maybe they're inspired more to play because of Jordan Travis. But again, to lose your starting quarterback, it's not like we lost one guy and we brought in Tua.
Right.
That's it's a little different. So I think the temperature, we're still where we want to be. I think we can still beat the Gators. I think we can still beat Louisville. So in all honesty, what the mission was for the season is still in range.
Mm-hmm.
Get back to where you should be. Win an ACC championship. All those things are still on the table. I don't think that anybody thought coming into the season, like, you know what, we might be a national championship contender. It was out there.
I've been texting you, and I'm on record for saying I'm getting 2013 vibes.
2013 vibes.
I've been saying this all season.
You have.
On record.
Now, again,
because in 2013, we were down a lot. Mm-hmm. We had to come back, and the same type of talk was happening about Florida State. Oh, they're always down. They always have to fight to win. They don't deserve to be here, da-da-da. And then what we do? We get down in the national championship game, too.
Now now you're talking about 2014, the next year. When we kept coming back.
2014 was the year where y'all won a bunch of close games and everybody.
Yeah,
was
2013 we trashed everybody.
What's going on? Yeah, 2013 was just it was Thanos.
Hands down.
It was Thanos and Wakanda.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. So I guess to the overall question now, even where we're ranked now, we got dropped down to number 5. Even though
I think we kind of predicted that last week on the show,
which is weird because we've been in close games against Vatech and BC and. We haven't played our best, even against Pitt. We didn't play our best ball. So when we go out there and we just smash a team we're supposed to smash, well, why do you drop?
Well, go ahead.
Florida State never gets the benefit of the doubt. If you go listen to a lot of other commentators, Michigan has a close game with Rutgers. Texas was tied with Wyoming going to the fourth quarter. Washington was down to Arizona State.
Washington been playing good ball in a couple weeks.
They have, but they also were in a slugfest.
No, haven't been playing good ball.
They were in a slugfest with Arizona State, but you still give them benefits of the doubt. For some reason, Florida State never gets like a benefit of the doubt. Every bad game we have, they remember it every week. Oh, Clemson just happened this, but let any other team have a bad game, we just forget about it.
Well, and I got no dog in the fight, right? But I think I kind of mentioned this last week. I'm like, yeah, next week I could see Washington jumping Florida State simply because of the teams that they're beating. The teams they're beating have a number in front of the name, right? And that matters to people. And it matters to folks. Again, I think the Pac-12 is arguably the strongest conference in the country this year. They're undefeated in that conference. Eventually, they were going to say, all right, Washington, because now they just went on the road and beat Oregon State, who was a top 15 team. So it's like, okay, yes, Florida State went out and they did what they were supposed to do against North Alabama. I don't think Florida State did anything wrong. It's just, well, Washington did a bit more to be deserving to just jump up a spot. But again, like we talked about, as far as Florida State controlling its destiny, right? So it's like, yeah, Washington jumped, that's fine. Washington still got to play Oregon. Georgia still got to play Alabama. Michigan still got to play Ohio State, right? Which we'll come to some of those games in a second. So I think that's okay. But I guess in that same vein, let's stay on that topic. Do you guys, and I think I'm coming here, right? Because you've kind of been talking about this for a few weeks, and you were like, I don't feel comfortable just winning.
Yeah, because now again, the conversation has been tossed out there. Well, should we put Florida State in there knowing that they're weaker because they lost their starting quarterback? So if in all honesty, that shouldn't be relevant at all. Right? So again, if Florida State goes out there and they beat Florida by 30 with that backup quarterback, has anything changed? That's kind of what the team's been doing. They've been winning consistently and playing good ball. If they go out there and do the same thing against Louisville and win by 2-3 scores, should Oregon or any of these other, there shouldn't be a one-loss team in front of Florida State.
That's fair.
In the college football playoff, it shouldn't happen
At all.
So if there's there's going to be at least 3 undefeated conference champions,
Potentially.
right?
Potentially 3.
So Big Ten's going to have one.
Actually, potentially 4. You
The
could
SEC
have
would have
Georgia, Michigan, Washington, Ohio, and Florida State. You could have 4 undefeated
Georgia.
Power 5 conference champions.
Then to me, boom, there you go. There's your college football playoff. But if you're going to put a one-loss team above Florida State, above a conference champion, and factor in the fact that, well, they don't have their starting quarterback, to me, that sets a really horrible precedent, and it's trash overall.
Now, for conversation's sake, you made the comment that you feel like Florida State's national championship hopes kind of went down with Jordan. If that is indeed the case, and you're a committee member, and you got an option to put a one-loss Ohio State or a weakened Florida State in there, would you be at even the least bit intrigued to say,
No, because they've earned it. That team, you can't punish a team just for one guy going down.
You shouldn't.
You shouldn't, right? Because again, they've put in the work for 13 games, and now to punish them in the end to say, well, it's not going to be the best game we could have. It doesn't matter.
And that's me personally. I've never cared about the best game. I've always wanted to be the most deserving team on their resume for what they've done. Not like it'll be the most explosive game. That's not what I'm. Would I like to see it as a fan? Yeah, but as a person who played sports, I feel like the team that did everything they're supposed to do they should get in.
Yeah, just like that year that Cincinnati was in. Did we know they were going to get thrashed that first game?
Yes.
But did they earn it?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Also, yes.
So at that point,
Same with TCU.
right? So you can't punish
Also,
them.
yes.
Yeah.
Right? They did everything they were supposed to do, and at the end, you're like, well, do you really deserve? Yes. The answer is yes.
Yeah.
And again, the computer would tell you yes.
Yeah. No, and I agree. I wrote an article up on the site.
Good article.
Hit up ssbsports.com.
It was a good article.
Put articles on there. And that's coming from a Miami fan, right? Remove the names, remove the logos, and we're just talking about ball. Just ball talk. A undefeated Power 5 conference champion has never been left out of the playoff. You cannot undermine the precedent you have set to say, if you do this, literally, win and you're in, right?
Literally.
That's what they've always sold. Win and you're in. Now, they made Cincinnati do it 2 years straight. Cincinnati had to go 2 years undefeated for them to get in. They were a G5 team, and I can kind of understand that. But from a Power 5 perspective, win and you're in. And if Florida State goes out and they beat Florida and they beat Louisville, if it's by 1 point or 100 points, they did what you asked them to do. You told them to win, so now you got to stand on business.
Yeah.
Put them in there,
Exactly.
right? And that's just ball, right? That's just about fair is fair.
That's it.
They did what they were supposed to do. Now, I get why people are saying, and I think there was an athletic article that was put up today to say some people would be intrigued to see a one-loss, potentially Ohio State. You might get a one-loss Michigan. You could get a one-loss Washington or a one-loss Oregon. I can see the intrigue to put them in because I do agree. Florida State is a very talented program. I've said that all year. I imagine they will be different without Jordan Travis. Jordan Travis, I believe, covers up a multitude of sins from the offensive line. I think the offensive line is okay, not great. And when you got him back there, one, he knows where to go with the ball. He knows the system. He's got the ability to make things happen. He's slippery, right, as they like to say. He's very slippery when you think you got him, and for whatever reason, now you don't got him. I just don't know if Tate can do those things, and maybe Tate will be that guy one day. I don't know if he's that person today, so I'm like, man, I get a chance to see Florida State versus Michigan, or I can see Oregon versus Michigan. There's intrigue there, right? I'm not making that up, right?
Yeah, no. The thing with
I'm biased.
Well, obviously,
Yeah.
But remove the names, remove the logos and the affiliation. Do you see the intrigue at least?
No, because if you can't see the intrigue if you remove the names. If you just look at ball, right, then you got to look at see who's most deserving. Which is that's how I've always looked at it. You can ask Pump. Last year I said TCU has to be in, even though TCU probably gonna get smacked down the line.
And they did.
They did, but they deserve to get in. And it so happens that they beat was it Michigan?
Yeah, they beat Michigan round one.
Michigan round one, and then ran into Georgia. Now, do I think Michigan Georgia would have been a better game? I think so.
I think the outcome would have been the same. Maybe not as one-sided.
I think it's still a blowout.
I think it's still a better game than TCU.
Sure.
Maybe.
See, I guess go back just a little bit, and again, the idea, barring a lot of injury, people kept saying to Florida State fans, "Well, don't worry about what everybody else is doing." But I had to because, again, worst case scenario, something like this does happen. And now the idea of what the top three was, everybody always looked at Florida State as the weaker of the top four.
Yeah.
Right? Fine. So now clearly we're weaker because we lost our best player, right?
Yeah.
But the fact that you started off by putting Ohio State in such a position right now, where now it gives you an argument where it's like, well, if they lose in a close game to Michigan, or if Michigan loses in a close game, how far can you really drop them? It's almost forcing your hand to now take the number one team. Where's Ohio State right now? Number 2 or number 1?
Number 2.
It's forcing your hand to now drop the number 2 team down to number 5.
Yeah.
Because again, if Washington wins out, how can you keep them out? If Florida State wins out, how do you keep them out? If Georgia wins and Michigan wins, how do you keep the 4 undefeateds out? You can't unless you drop off the weaker of the 4, which is Florida State, and put them in there.
Yeah.
But there's no way a one-loss team. But of course, well, they beat Notre Dame, which doesn't look good anymore.
No.
Well, they beat Penn State, which doesn't look good anymore.
Actually, it does.
It's still
different
it
conversation.
still doesn't.
We talked about it last week,
Now,
but I get you.
Last week, or just this week that passed, Maryland had a chance to honestly knock off both teams. They both struggle with Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
So does Ohio State really look that good, or are they that good because you jacked them up to number one off of the strength of honestly what? Michigan and Georgia, I've understood. I've stood by that all year. I think they should be 1 and 2. No problem there. But why did Ohio State get such a high jump? I can get Ohio State Washington being there. I get Oregon being there. There's no way Ohio State.
Oregon got 1 loss.
To me, that's the better. If Ohio State loses, Oregon's
Oregon is
a better
better than
one-loss team
Oregon
than
should be
Ohio
ahead
State.
of Ohio State.
Yeah.
I'm fine with
I
that.
agree.
The Ohio State Michigan comparison is going to be Ohio State. They both beat Penn State, kind of close-ish. Ohio State beat a Notre Dame. Michigan, I don't think they've played another ranked team.
But the funny part,
I think that's the thing.
well, the funny part is Michigan decided to just run the ball the whole time.
Well, they can do that. They will do that.
to
I
me,
mean, it
that's
was
the
a
funny part.
decision.
No,
but
they will just
their
do that.
passing game wasn't that good against Maryland either.
JJ can throw the ball.
He can.
He can. He throw the
I'm
ball.
not saying he can't throw the ball. I'm saying the whole scheme of offense, it was off against Maryland too.
But again, the fact that Michigan chose to just be one-dimensional. Ohio State doesn't choose to do this.
No, they're doing what they have to
They're
do.
doing what they have to do. So to me, that just actually shows how good Michigan really is. They said, you
I
know what?
agree.
We're just going to take away one object, beat it. And you can't.
Yeah, they'll just lean on
That
you.
just shows you how not good Ohio State actually is.
And how trash Penn State's offense is.
I mean, at the end of the day, as far as I'm concerned, if FSU wins, FSU is in.
They should.
Are you guys and just to close it out, are you guys at all worried about the next 2 games, going into Gainesville or going up against a Louisville team who is tricky? They're not, like, talent-wise, they're not that good. But Jeff Brom this week
he can coach the
showed
game.
me he's a really good play
Yeah.
caller.
To me, last time I checked, Jalen Daniels is still running all over Florida. So
They put up 750 on it.
that boy's still going.
I think Luther Burden just ran over another DB.
Come on, man. So backup quarterback.
We played multiple man down 4-2-6-5.
Come on, man.
We got 4 bear fronts.
We'll do a bear front. We'll bring 2 guys off the edge. They block with 5. We'll bring 7.
We got a lot of schemes.
Well,
Yeah.
between me and you, our defense is still the same.
Our defense
right.
is, you said it all
Yeah.
year. The defense is the foundation.
Heart and
of
soul
our
of that team. And even with Jordan down, we still have playmakers all over that. Just get the ball to one of your playmakers, which Florida doesn't have on offense. They got ETN.
team. Or is it Pearsall?
Stop.
Eugene. Actually, I think Eugene Wilson is actually going to be. I think he's going to be pretty good.
Get him the ball.
Yeah, and that's the trick.
So no, I'm not that worried. Even with Louisville, I'm not that worried.
we should win. I would say this. We should win both of those games.
We should. Definitely should beat
We
Florida.
should.
I
Now,
think you'd be favorite. Vegas
should-
will give you the favorite on both
going into the swamp.
at night. It's a
That's
rivalry game.
That's a crazy
at
stadium
night.
to play in.
Rodemaker hasn't been in an environment like that, being the guy.
Yeah, so
It's the only reason I asked.
I can see some jitters coming
Yeah.
out the gate
Yeah.
because the swamp is a crazy place to play in.
I think again. I think them boys are. They have a new focus now.
Finish.
Finish for 13.
I love us.
Okay. So we talked about them. We haven't talked about the game. Literally, the game. This week, you've got number 2, Ohio State, on the road at number 3, Michigan. Michigan betting favorites. They are getting 3.5 points, which essentially is an even split. I think I've mentioned it before. College football, home team gets 3 points. Vegas always gives home team 3. So really, you're talking about a 0.5 point differential as far as Vegas is concerned. As far as the ESPN FPI, their analytics predictor, they give in Michigan a 55% chance to win. Thoughts on that game? Who you picking? I think you guys have kind of tipped your hand already. Who y'all picking in that game?
I'm going Michigan.
Shocker.
Yeah, I'm going Michigan.
What's the difference? What's the difference in that game?
The running game, and I don't know. Ohio State just doesn't have it to me. The quarterback is decent. He's not bad, and I understand you got one of the best wide receivers in the country, but getting the ball to him seems to be an issue, in my opinion, from seeing him playing in certain games. So the running game and Michigan's defense is really the difference for me.
Yeah, that's it for me.
And the O-line coach, he crying tears for him.
Hey, man. Hey, you talking about winning it for somebody? Hey, them boys winning for Harbaugh, man.
Hey, free Harbaugh.
Hey, it's kind of, I'm telling you, it's galvanized that team. It's kind of weird.
No,
but
real deal. When you have that kind of chip on your shoulder, that us against the world mentality, especially for a bunch of kids, I feel like it means a lot more, right? Quarterback play, give me JJ before you give me Kyle McCord. Kyle McCord has not shown me one. He's a typical Ohio State quarterback.
No, actually, I disagree. He is a rung below. He's a rung below Cardale Jones, C.J. Stroud.
I'm sorry.
Pryor.
When I say that, I'm
J.T. Barrett.
When I say that,
I'm
projecting the NFL.
In the NFL,
right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
He's what the Ohio State quarterback becomes once they enter the league.
He's that already.
CJ.
Besides CJ,
which we'll come back to that.
He's that guy already. Right now, he has weapons. Travion Henderson,
running back. They got 3 running backs that'll probably start.
They
most
can do it.
in the
Travion,
country.
cool. Obviously, you got 18 out there. Figure out a way to get him the ball. I think that Michigan just does things on defense very, very well. They know how to stop the run and they can stop the pass. They haven't faced that kind of defense yet. We can say it about Penn State all you want to. And then Michigan's going to attack you however they choose to attack you.
Well, they struggle with Penn State's defense. Penn State's defense gave Ohio State problems.
Yes.
So
yeah, which again says a lot about Ohio State to me than it does Michigan.
No, I agree. I'm rolling with Michigan as well. I just think that for a couple of reasons. One, I think up front, right? The trenches. This is a down year for Ohio State's offensive line. I think their front 7 is pretty nasty. I have questions about their offensive line, which then if you can't block it up well, can you run against Michigan? And what you don't want to be is one-dimensional against a Wolverine defense, because they will, now you just made their life even easier, right? I think Samra is still one of the best DBs in the country, very versatile. I like what they do on the back end. And they can make you one-dimensional, which is probably, I haven't looked at the weather. I'm hoping it's cold, it's snowy. For some reason, that game is supposed to be snowy.
Right, snowball.
Yeah, which means, are you throwing it around the 18 all day? I don't know, right?
That's going to be a good day. 37. Cloudy, but 37.
Cloudy and 37, which, I mean, you might get a shower. So, again, to me, that kind of leans into Michigan's hand. You know the big house is going to be completely bonkers in there for Harbaugh, for the team. Josh Pate recently told a story about watching J.J. McCarthy and Blake Corum standing off to the side after losing to, I believe it was Georgia 2 years ago in the playoff, and watching Georgia celebrate. I think those guys remember that. And I think they realize this has got to be it. This year has got to be it, and you cannot lose this game. I don't think Ohio State is as hungry as Michigan is. I think Michigan has been given additional reasons to be amped up and focused and juiced up. I see Michigan winning this. Close, of course. This game is rarely a blowout, but I got Michigan winning this game. A couple of other just college football questions real quick. For some reason, he threw in a Miami question, so I actually want to hear you guys' perspective from an outside viewer standpoint. Question number 2 was, after a spirited effort the week before and coming back home to play a top 10 opponent, the Hard Rock, Miami Hurricane Stadium, looked half empty. Will Miami ever have the mystique and support they once had during their heyday? From an outsider's perspective, what do you guys think?
Pump, I'll let you go.
Breeze, you and me have kind of had this conversation before, and there's something to having your own stadium as a college football team. The atmosphere that you get, especially if you're not going to fill, 70,000, 80,000 people stadium. The big house wouldn't feel what it is if they couldn't fit all those people there.
115,000 people.
Right? Doak wouldn't be Doak if you didn't have 80,000 people doing that the war chant at one time, right? So there's something about even, again, the Orange Bowl. The Orange Bowl wasn't a big place back when Miami played there. No. It had that college atmosphere to it. It was raggedy. It was run down. There was something about that stadium that made the Hurricanes, on top of the winning, even better. You come in there, you can hear that place vibrate. You think it's going to fall down. That adds to something. So now it's like when you're trying to get that program back together, and you're doing the buy one get two free. It doesn't feel right. It feels gross. You know what I mean? Like you're begging people to come, right? And again, Miami is not a huge, institution anyway. It's a private school.
Yeah.
Right? But the fan base itself has never been students. It's always been the Miami community. So the fact that you can't get the Miami community to come out on a Saturday, if I'm telling you, hey, Breeze bought a ticket, you and me getting in for free, and we still like, yeah, I'm straight. On senior night, especially then that was senior night too, right?
I believe so, yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so like on senior night, you can't even get people to come out for senior night. Like, it's gross. It's a gross feeling. I feel I want that rivalry to be back. I want Miami to get back to away, and it's like I don't know what they can do anymore. Like they're basically begging you to come, and people still aren't coming.
Yeah, outside looking in, I honestly don't know if it'll ever come back to be like it was back in the days. And I also think a lot of fans now, especially, on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, it seems like the most embattled Miami fans are people who got to see the actual heydays of it, or got to see like that last run in 2001. That was the last time they won the Natty, right?
Oh, 1, yeah.
01. And it seems like around that age are the main ones. But as far as the mystique and allure of it, I just can't see it. Like I do know it's a rivalry game, and me and Pump all the time like, look, even in a down year of Miami, it's like we still got to go in there and play them boys, and you never know what might happen. They gonna get up for that game. But overall, I honestly can't really see it going back to the U being back.
Which is fine. So from an insider's perspective, right, I think I've said it and I won't spend a lot of time on it. Miami's a big ticket town. When the Heat aren't good, people don't go. When the Dolphins aren't good, people don't go. When the Hurricanes aren't good, people don't go. I was a season ticket holder. I was at the Georgia Tech game. I was at the Clemson game. The Clemson game was not sold out, very, very loud. I would say probably 80% full. The stadium is built to be loud. The way the partial covering of the roof. It's a very, very loud place. I think the one thing that people forget from an outsider's perspective was that the Orange Bowl averaged only like 40-something thousand people, home games. The Orange Bowl wasn't packed every week. If you actually go back and watch some of those games, like your just regular games like Virginia at Miami, those stadium was half empty. So this has always been a thing. And actually I think the 01 season, there was like 3 home games that were like 60% full. Wow. And you're talking about one of the best college football teams ever. That's just how Miami is. Miami is a very odd place in terms of there's just too many other things to do, and it's very easy for people to stay home, right? I mean, to be fair, in Athens, Georgia, there's nothing else to do on Saturday.
Nathan.
In Knoxville, Tennessee, there ain't much else to do. In Fayetteville, Arkansas, there's nothing else to do. Nebraska, there's nothing else to do. So that's what you do. You just naturally just go to the game, as opposed to in Miami, people are like, I'm going to go to the beach, hit the mall, there's probably concerts. It's a big ticket town, right? And so, yeah, and I look at that game, and I didn't go myself. I chose to go to the Florida Classic. This team has given me no reason to spend my money to drive down there for another weekend. Like, it's not cheap to go to Miami either, right? And we talked about the fan base, the alumni base is small. I think it's somewhere in the teens of thousands, the student population. So it's a very, very small school. So the majority of your fans are not going to be students. And you rely on adults to choose to come. Well, if I got kids, this team has already lost 4 or 5 games. Am I bucking my kids' soccer game this week? I probably missed a few. I probably didn't choose to go to my kids' soccer game. I live in St. Pete personally. Am I choosing to drive to Miami when I could spend the weekend with my family? The team's already 4 or 5 games in the hole. You know what? This week I'll spend the time with my family. So it's a big ticket town. You have to give people reasons. And winning is always going to be the biggest reason. And I think the team is doing the right things and moving in the right direction. But if the 01 team couldn't sell out all the home games, I don't care what Mario put out there on the field. You can have 2019 LSU. Nothing's going to top 01 Miami, in my opinion. And they couldn't sell out. So it's just going to be a thing. and that's okay, right? But if you're winning, does that even matter? Right? You win. Winning games is winning games. Stadium fans and all that help. I've never looked at a Miami game and say, if we had another 20,000 people in there, they would have won that. Like, no. Like, at the end of the day, you got to go win games. You got to give people a reason to come. So don't want to spend too much time on that. Mailbag question number 3. Very straightforward. When will Georgia lose?
The best shot that they have to lose, I
It's
feel,
the
is going to
SEC
be
championship
when they play
against
Bama.
Bama.
I don't think they're going to. I don't think they're going to lose.
I don't know.
That Bombay?
Yeah. Bama is catching a nice little stride right now.
To be fair, you could probably say the same about Georgia's offense. Breeze, I think you mentioned that.
Yeah. I think both teams are peaking right now, which is kind of scary. It's the idea of Georgia peaking at the back end of a season is like, huh.
Right.
That's kind of scary, right? And I did mention last week, I think a lot of people watched Georgia earlier in the years like, they don't look like Georgia. I think a lot of folks might have checked out. And if you've been watching what they've done since then, like offenses just are not scoring. I think they held Tennessee to, under 20 this week.
Dollar didn't even help them.
They did the same thing to Missouri. They've done the same thing to everybody. They played. Ole Miss was top 10 and they held them to 14. And Carson Beck is good. I think I said it earlier. I'm like, I think talent-wise, he's better than Stetson Bennett. His ceiling's higher than Stetson. And it feels like he's kind of settling in. So as far as when Georgia's going to lose, I don't think it'll be anytime soon. I'm actually kind of worried about them breaking Miami's record of
Consecutive wins?
Yeah, consecutive wins.
What's the
I'm
number?
a little concerned.
Like 30-something?
I think it's 30-something. Like 30, yeah. Alabama got close, and they end up falling. I'm worried Georgia might be able to do it because Carson Beck comes back next year. Like Brock Bowers leaves, but I think like several of those receivers come back. They'll lose a few O linemen, which they always do. I don't think that defense gets pillaged this year by the draft. I think the defense is younger than normal. Like I'm actually kind of concerned they might break the record.
Interesting.
Yeah, which that's rare.
So if that's the case, you're calling 3-peat right now.
Oh, I called in the summer.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm calling 3-peat. And now you just, in my opinion, you took out one of the competitors. Florida State had something about them. They find a way. It's like a gnat. You think you got them and you don't. And Jordan Travis does some ridiculousness. So I think you just took out one competitor. I think Ohio State clearly has flaws. I think Washington's defense is very, very flawed. I think that offense is amazing.
And Penix ain't been playing good ball lately.
Well, the offense is still putting up 30+, but they've played some closer games, and I think that might be, other than Oregon, I think Georgia would be the best offense they face. So, yeah, I'm like, who's going to beat them?
So are we calling Georgia around the board or what?
Nah.
No?
12, you taking?
I still
taking
like
Bama?
us.
No, I'm talking about
Florida State?
No, I'm talking about the Georgia-Bama game. I'm sorry, in the SEC championship.
I'm not a huge Bama fan, but I think Bama is going to win.
Okay.
Really? Do you just want Georgia to not win?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Now, listen, if it comes down to Georgia and Florida State, listen, me and Sweet Milk got to do something.
Line it up.
They will. They do line it up. All right.
They say games got to get played.
Yeah, the games do got to get played.
Indeed.
Last question. Should Tyler from Spartanburg have called in earlier during the season?
No, because
Clemson just beat North Carolina.
No, because that means your boy have been hyping when he played us.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, Clemson just knocked off North Carolina to give them their third loss. I'm actually a fan of it because I want Dabo to be emboldened in his philosophies because I think the gap is still increasing. You beat North Carolina, you beat Notre Dame. That's cool. You also lost to Miami, playing a true freshman in his first start. You also lost to Florida State at home. So, sure, be emboldened and you think you're right because what I see is the gap closing.
Yeah.
And you pulled off some wins, and that's great, but I see the gap closing. So, yeah, you know what, Dabo? Keep on doing what you've been doing.
Please.
Yes.
Perfectly fine with me. We got to go up there next year. Fine with me. All right, we're going to close off college football there. Oh,
One question on college football.
oh.
Is Lincoln Riley on the hot seat?
They're on.
Is that the police? Tis the police.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Again, St. Pete on St. Pete.
Yeah, he gonna do what he do.
They're riding the same losing streak as Colorado right now, aren't they? Haven't they?
Oh, I meant to call out this week on Colorado. We talked about it in person. I have to wait next week. I want it on. I want it on wax.
I get it. Is Lincoln Riley on the hot seat? I feel like it should be a matchup under him at least.
I think so too.
Right? I mean, again, the way that this team has completely fallen off, it's like, were we only playing to get Caleb a Heisman? Because now that once that went out the window, it seemed like they don't want to play no more.
I mean, they never played defense.
That is also a true statement.
That is very true. So USC, for those who don't know, they are 7-5 on the season. They are 5-4 in Pac-12 play. They just recently lost to crosstown rivals UCLA this week, 38-20. I'm not going to say he's on the hot seat, but what I will say is that his flaws are becoming even bigger than before. We knew Lincoln Riley had flaws in his philosophy, right? Those Oklahoma teams, they put up a bunch of numbers. They were big. They were stat heavy on offense. Defense was never good. And they get to the playoffs and they get handled. They would get like literally bullied off the field, right? I would never forget that picture of Kyler Murray like running for his life against Alabama, like scurrying for his life against Alabama, like full scurry, and he couldn't do anything. And it was just a reminder that those teams weren't built for longevity. And Lincoln has never changed his model. It's the same thing. And I think people undersell the trenches out there in the Pac-12. They develop and recruit the offensive lines and the defensive lines really, really well. There's a lot of American Samoan kids out there, man.
Dogs.
And them boys is big for fun.
Hoggly Moglies.
And they play nasty. Them boys get to work. So you want to come out there and dance and run around if you want to, but hey, man, I think his flaws are being exposed. You waited too long to fire your defensive coordinator.
That was my point too. I think it's more so also his loyalty, because you brought that DC with you,
Yeah,
to USC,
yeah,
and then he lost you a chance to get into the Pac-12 championship game last year, and this year.
No, he lost you the game. They were in it. They lost it to Utah.
Oh yeah, you're right. They lost to Utah. You're absolutely right. And this year he blows a bunch of games for you too.
Yeah,
and you wait until the mid-season. Now the season it's a wrap now.
Yeah.
To fire him.
Also, the mentality of your team, I think it reflects the coach. I think those teams are soft.
Yeah.
I think Lincoln Riley teams are just flat out soft. And you're going up against teams like Utah, those teams ain't soft. Or Oregon State, those teams aren't soft, right? Oregon, the way Dan Lanning got them boys playing in Washington.
He's a bag.
Who, Dan Lanning?
Yeah.
Very much so.
He's a
Big time.
Yes.
huge bag.
But, hey, man. That man earning his stripes, too.
I get it.
So, yeah, I think, I don't know if I'm going to say he's on the hot seat, but I will say things are getting uncomfortable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We good on college football? We're gonna close the book there on CFB.
Go Noles.
All right. We'll take a quick break, and we will come back, and we're going to talk some professional foosball.